Hello everyone on YouTube, welcome to a new coaching video. Today I want to use the Valentine's Day event, which buffed a couple cards if we played their significant other, to discuss game design and how we evaluate cards. The idea for this is that I feel like in the metagame, a lot of the time we take what others tell us are good, and we don't necessarily try to understand why, which either means we're playing the deck wrong or worse than it should be played, or we actually pick up decks that we don't really know how to play because we don't know where the strength lies. And this imbalance patch is a great way to actually look at card like designs and how can a card be impacted and the reasons that can impact a card, because this changed like the power of cards, but we could imagine that in the future they could change energy, they could change, I don't know, ability, they could add a line, they could do whatever they want with cards. So I felt like that was a great opportunity to start on this topic. So this is gonna be more of a discussion, and the first step is let's discuss what do we look at when we want to know if a card is good or not. So the big question we want to answer is this card good or not good? So, and this is where everyone is going to have to be a part of it. So what do we look at? I'll help a little bit. On one side, we'll have the visible metrics. And on the other side, I'll go with the invisible ones. All right, who has an idea of what we're looking at to know if a card is good or not?
I think one thing off the bat are comparisons to similar cards in either energy or cost that have more or less utility.
Right, you're already thinking super far compared to the very basic ones.
All right. The meta.
That's even too far.
Oh, okay.
Really, like in the visible metrics, you look at a card, what do you see?
Just energy and power.
Yes.
Abilities.
These
Okay,
are
I see what
the
you're saying.
three things that we look in a card first.
Mm-hmm,
If they give us a 10-1, we're like, wait, I can't play that card. I can waive it, but you better give me a super, super good ability for me to go through the trouble. You give me a 1-7, well, it's Ebonimo, and that's about one of the worst ability in the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
So we got power, we got cost, and we got ability.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, these are the three big visible ones. There's another visible one, but it's not on the card. It's visible. When I mean visible, invisible, by the way, visible is I have access to it with very simple research. Invisible is I need to put in kind of my opinion in it, or everyone might not think the same. But there is one more in the visible, which isn't as simple as power cost ability, but it's in that same category, which is I can easily find it.
Location synergy.
Synergy in general, locations or other cards.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the four things. When they give us a card, usually we don't necessarily think about it, but the first thing we do is we compare cost and power. We have thresholds in our mind. For example, Marvel Snap, a 1 cost, normal 1 cost, is 2 or 3 power. If it's a 1-1, we expect a really good ability. 1-4, we expect a condition. 1-5 is mostly a difficult ability. Like 1-5, we're talking Mortier, we're talking Titania. And then there's Ebonimo, which literally has a condition that says you're not playing here anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Turn 2, most of the time it's 2, 3 to 4 are abilities. 2-5 starts being negative, like a lizard. And then we have 2-6 Maximus, for example, that kind of stuff. 3, there's more and more cards starting at 3/5. Over 5, it's usually a negative one, except Gladiator, because they decided that sometimes that card can get you a snap. But we'll keep Gladiator because this is a really, really good example. 4 is usually 6 to 8. Over 8, it starts to be a condition. 5 is 7 and 8, 9. Starting from 10, you usually have like stuff like Dr. Octopus or things like that. And 6 is 8. Although a lot of 8, I feel, have been buffed to 9 recently.
Could you put these thresholds on the mind map? The point where it tends to turn negative. I find that very useful. Yeah.
Specific one. No, I'm writing the same thing. No, I want to write in the same thing. I hate you. Oh, okay. So. How can I do this? We're gonna do it in a. It's going to be too big here. So let me see. Do I have a sheet? To-do list, annual budget, spreadsheet. Perfect. So we're gonna have cost. We're gonna have normal power. We're gonna have benefit special. Benefit doesn't exist. Ability and negative. I'll type it conditional because no ability is purely negative. For example, at Bonimo, at some point we were just giving it to the opponent with Viper. So 1 cost, normal power is 2 and 3. Beneficial ability is usually 1 or 2. Conditional ability is 3, 4, 5. Do we need examples every time or not? Not 2005. That's a lot of power for a 1 cost. I hate you, Google.
If you just format that and set it to number, that column, rather than a date.
How do I do that?
That? No. If you go to the format at the top.
This.
Number? Yeah. So just set it to a number. Oh. I
want to have 3, 5.
Or actually, just set it to text. Actually, that'll be even better. My bad. Yeah.
Okay, I'll do it differently.
Yeah.
Does it work if I do this?
Yeah, there we go.
Hey, we did it. Okay, so that's gonna be no, 2 and 3. Okay. Learning how to use Google. Okay, so if we wanted examples, normal power, agent 13. I'll actually get the deck builder because otherwise I have to remember every card in the game. Like we have in the 1/2s, we have Yondu, we have Zero, we have Squirrel Girl, we have Snow Guard, Rocket Raccoon. A lot of abilities that can be really good, but can also do nothing if your deck doesn't work with it. Like Nightcrawler, Nico. There's plenty of 1/2s. As for the trees is usually we start being in the conditional, I feel. Because the card that usually comes to mind is Blade as a 1/3. I don't know if we have that. At least blank. Blade the only one?
No, 0.
And 0, yeah. So these are considered like negative abilities, but in the right scenario they work. So beneficial abilities, I guess the best one we can name is Deadpool. There's literally a deck around the ability. And then conditional, we have the trees. Actually, yeah, we could just do here. The beneficial is usually going to be 1, and conditional is going to be 3, 4, and 5. It goes up to 7, but if you need examples, Titania Mortier in the 5. I don't think there's a blank 1-4. You have to make your own 1-4. But like Okai could be considered 1-4. Ant-Man is a 1-4. That's about it.
I think Hawkeye can count as that.
Yeah, Okai is there. All right, 2 cost.
Okay.
Normal power for a 2 cost is 3. Most of the time. 1 and 2, you should get a really good ability.
And 0 as well.
Yeah, I mean, 0 is obviously because you get no power, so... I mean, I implied the fact that every time it's going to be N lower, and this one is going to be N higher.
Gotcha.
I can put a plus here, so we'll know it.
So in a way, then, what we're looking for is the pivot point. So like for a 1 cost, the pivot point is 2. After that, or under that, right? For a 2 cost, the pivot point is 3.
Yes, most of the time, that power tells us where the devs see the card, in a way. If we were to do a 3, it's kind of crazy, but now the normal power is 4 and 5, while it was like 3 at some point. So here we have 3 minus. Here we have 6. I'll just put type plus. 4. The normal power usually is 6. The beneficial ability is going to be 5 minus. And the conditional ability is 7 plus. If you need examples for every cost, let me know. I'm going to do something because I hate it when it's... Go. I feel like it's just much easier on the app. If we go to the 5s, there are 4 and 6. Oh, good cost. If we go to the 5, what's a normal 5? I feel like that's 7 or 8. Like, that's Vision, Legion, that's MODOK, Jane Foster, Gamora. 5s are a little difficult to judge because there are not that many of them.
No.
Like, there's the range. Like, the range goes from 6, 9. And then you have a couple of, like, 3s, 4, 0s, which are the ongoing cards, which you can really abuse. And the negative ones immediately go, like, to 14.
Yeah.
There's a 10.
Like, Annihilus, the whole point of that is that it should be worth way more power because you're sending things over. Statue should really be a 1 cost. All of them below 7 are actually meant to be explosive in some way.
So normal power is going to be 8. The ability is going to be 7 plus. And the conditional is going to be 9 plus.
I'm already finding this chart very helpful, just thinking about how synergies change this math, right? So the basic example of using a forge on a brood, right? How do you get around these thresholds?
Exactly. And this is where the discussion will get interesting, is when, like, basically what I use with these thresholds, we'll do 6 and then we'll discuss, because otherwise we're gonna start thinking about something else. And then 6 is from, I feel like 12 for a while was the unexpected one. Like from 9 now? Like 9 to 11 is normal? I guess it's Hulk. We have a vanilla, so it's Hulk. It's weird because now, because we have so many abilities, the vanilla cards that they released early in the game's lifespan, they're actually good. Because at some point, they were the normal, like they were the standard. Abomination is a 5/9, so we would expect a 9 like as the normal power. The thing is, if we look at the 5 costs, now we have Iroh, which is a 5/9 as well, and there's an ability on it. So vanilla doesn't mean vanilla anymore, especially because now there's high evolutionary. So until like high Evo was out, like let's say there's 2 Marvel Snap, one before high Evo and one after high Evo, vanilla stats meant something. Since high Evo, vanilla stat means something else. And they actually had to nerf. Well, they only nerfed the abilities. They didn't nerf the stats. Did they change the stat of any vanilla card? No, right? Cyclops was always a 3/4. Shocker was always a 2/3. Yeah. They didn't change any stats. Alright, so hello, Bishop. So what we're doing here is we are
history lesson?
No, it was an example. We are
Silverman requested math as usual.
Exactly, like Silverman wanted a surprise interrogation. But no, we're dropping the basics of game design in Marvel Snap, which is what to expect in the cost to power balance. So basically, we're doing this. How do we assess if a card is good or not? And in the visible metrics, the first thing is we compare power and cost. And this is like what we expect from cards. So, now that we have this, when they give us a new card, depending on where it is, we have expectations. For example, if we were to take Corvus, is the next one, and that's a really good like use case here, because if I take Corvus, I see a 3/5. I look at my spreadsheet, and it's like, it's on the high end of normal power. I mean, at some point, like 3/5 was really good, and over time they started to generalize it. I mean, Black Swan is a 3/5, Lady Sif got buffed to a 3/5, Viper got buffed to a 3/5. There's been a lot of 3/5s like created. But when I look at Corvus, I'm like, all right, so it's normal power, so I shouldn't have too big of an ability. And then you look at it, and you're like, discard 2 from your hand to get +1 max energy. So the ability is, well, depending on how you see it, is very good, very bad. But at least what the power tells us is the devs think the ability isn't beneficial or conditional. And the truth is, it's both. The discard is conditional, and the +1 energy is beneficial. I mean, who wouldn't want 1 extra energy? So, because we have 1 of each, it's kind of normal that we actually end up in that category. At least from what the devs are telling us. Maybe if someone shows that the discard port is also beneficial, we'll have double beneficial, and we'll have to lower the power to actually go in that category, and Corvus will be a 3/4 or 3/3 or I don't know what. Now, let's go back to... go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, looking at this chart, just the cost to normal power, understanding those pivot points, it's interesting that for a 1 and 2 cost, the normal power is only 1 higher than the cost. 3 is kind of a middle case where it's between 1 and 2. For 4s and 5s, it's +2, and then 6 is meant to grow. So you get just how bounded they actually mean that ratio to be. Yeah.
Well, they can.
But yes, you were going to say
they can get out of those ratios, but they need to justify it because, like for example, with Call Obsidian is a 4/10, so it's very much here. The ability is supposed to be super conditional because actually, if we look at 4 costs, 4 cost, I'm going to sort them by power. He has the highest base power in the game. I would argue the highest power 4 cost in the game is Werewolf, but I mean, he's very conditional. You have to play 3 on reveals, and you only have 2 turns most of the time. But like, if we look at this, and this is where we'll go into the second part here, and I want us to remember these 4, okay? We're going to take the 4 highest and the 4 biggest 4 costs. Tifoid, Sentry, Cole, Atuma. Everyone
Mm.
knows how these cards work?
Yep.
Okay, so I know the power and cost. I know the power to cost ratio is really good. Like, I heard 410, I'm like, I'm interested. You got my attention, I'll take a 410. Some people will tweet it dies to Shang-Chi, but I'm listening. I look at the ability, and I'm waiting, expecting a bad ability. I mean, you're telling me this is a 410? In my head, 10 power is supposed to be a 6 cost. So I'm expecting something difficult to leverage or straight up negative. I look at Tifoid, your other cards have -1. Alright, I see the negative right there. I didn't have to look very far. It's written on the card, it is negative. Sentry, you can't play this at the right location. Add a -10 power to the right location. Okay, I have a double negative. I'm limited to 2 locations. And why is this card really a 4-0? Because, I mean, +10, -10, like, why? Why would I play a 4-0? And if we're being honest, we'll talk about synergies afterwards, but until Annihilus released, Sentry was basically a 4-0 because nobody was playing it. Then I go to Call Obsidian. You can only play this where you have a 1-cost card. Wait. That's much easier than the other 2 I saw before. Because
I think it's...
I have plenty of 1-cost. I mean, let's take a stupid example.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go into the tier list, and I'm gonna look at literally every single deck in there.
Yep.
So, I see plenty of 1-costs. I see plenty of 1-costs. I see 2. Well, I don't see any, but it's actually the deck with the most 1-costs in the game.
Exactly.
I see 2. I see 1. I see... Well, it's the same archetype. I see 3. I see 2. I see 3. I see 1. I can keep doing it, but you get my point. There's literally no deck in Marvel Snap that plays 0 1-cost.
Yep.
So
and the best 1-cost is one that you don't need to actually stay after its reveal. And if we think of the point of a 1-cost here is just to put Obsidian on the board, you don't care if it dies after he's on the board.
Yeah, I mean, worst case, he'll play Nightcrawler and just move it somewhere else.
What's, I think, wild about him is that even if you think of him as default a 5-cost, because you have to play that 1-cost first, a 5/10 is still above the normal power pivot point.
I go to my spreadsheet, like 5 costs? Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at 5s. Yeah, a 5/10, I gotta pull 4 cards from my opponent's hand. Like, wow. You're telling me I can get, like, if I just look at the power, a 1-cost I expect a 2 power. So you're telling me I can have a 5/12 and none of this. Okay, I'll take it. That sounds like a pretty good deal in the end. And then we got the last one, which is Attuma. After each turn, destroy this if you have another card here. Alright, so literally Attuma and Call Obsidian work the opposite way. He always wants a friend, he wants to live and die alone. So, when I look at the cards, I haven't checked too much, I'm still in my little spreadsheets and look at the power. Big drawback, because basically for every other card, this loses 1 power. So if I have 1 other card, Tifoid is effectively a 4/9, 2 cards 4/8, 4/7, 4/6. If I go to my little sheet, I'm like, if it goes below a 4/6, it's really bad. So, if I have 5 cards alongside Tifoid Mary, becomes a 4/5, there's 6 turns, even if I just play 1 card per turn, is really bad. Sentry, at this point of our analysis, it's a 4-0. If anyone wants a 4-0, I'm very happy to give it to them. Otherwise, I'm just gonna pass on it. Call Obsidian is really good because we said I can play a blank 1-cost and have a 5/12. Okay. And Attuma, he has a condition, but I mean, I would rank him second at this point of the analysis. Because I'd rather have a 4/10 alone than have Tifoid Mary or Sentry. Of course, I could nitpick and say, well, might as well play Namor, it's a 4/11, so Attuma loses appeal, but at this point, Attuma ranks second in the 4-cost. But now, and this is why card games are interesting, this is obviously the most important part of card analysis. Synergies. Because nobody maybe bots. I'm not even sure they do it anymore. Nobody plays with raw numbers anymore. We used to do it when the game released, where like eating or Nova to get +1 power was really strong. Rest in peace, Nova. I haven't seen you in a very, very, very long time. So now we have synergies. And usually, this is where we have two ways to look at the cards. And this is the most important one. So, how can synergies have an impact on the card? There are two ways. Well, there are three ways, but there's the bad one, which is none. That's obviously bad. There's a lot, which is obviously nice. And there is strong cards, which is usually the best one. Because, for example, if I go back to my cards, Tifoid has a few synergies. I can think of Sauron, I can think of Luke Cage, I can think of Enchantress, I can think of Zero. What else can I think of?
If somebody's playing Super Skrull, it's not a bad card to drop.
I can think of it as a counter to Super Skrull. I could think about Galactus for priority. I mean, if I'm going to Galactus and kill her, I'm happy I got priority because of it. Etc., etc. So, actually, I have a lot of cards I can synergize with it. But the problem is, which one are strong? Like, Luke Cage, even if the OTA gave him his old ability back, not that much play. Zero, well, only exists in one deck. Sauron basically exists in the same deck as Zero. Galactus, we have goblins and that kind of stuff, and they're actually going to help with priority on the lane. We're gonna Galactus. That's better. And the problem is there's also wave, so I don't want to wave turn 3 to play Tifoid on 4. I'm just going to play Galactus straight away. And what was the last one? Yeah, Super Skrull. Nobody plays Super Skrull.
Yeah.
So, Tifoid, in terms of synergies, there's a lot, but none of them are strong. Sentry, I don't need others than Annihilus. They gave me Annihilus, and I was like, yep, I'm good. Thank you. I'll play Sentry from now on. And there were a lot of synergies with Sentry. Like, Sentry was basically a Tifoid Mary before Annihilus revealed. Because, I mean, it's a 4/10 that you can play with Carnage. You can play with Zero. You can play with any deck able to fill the right location. You can play with Professor X. Like, we could just Professor X the right location. And on turn 6, just go Sentry Shadow King. Not so bad.
You can play with Cosmo.
You can Cosmo it. There's plenty of things we could have done with Sentry, and nobody did it. And then Annihilus dropped, and Sentry went from nobody plays me to, oh, I'm the meta now. I'm the forecast. So obviously, strong cards are the most important part. We could keep going, but I mean, Cold Obsidian. Well, there's Thanos. I would rank him in the strong cards. And Atuma is kind of a Tifoid Mary, because same thing. There's plenty of synergies with Atuma. Zero, Armor, Professor X, Invisible Woman, Super Giant now. There's a lot of ways I can hide Atuma. But because none of these cards at this point are particularly strong, and Atuma isn't good enough to push them to become strong, I just don't play Atuma.
Question.
Of course.
Where would you put ease of combo pieces or synergistic pieces in this? I guess the kind of the example is Cole just needs a 1 cost. Yes. And so that synergy piece, even if the piece isn't good, is just so much easier. And Sentry the other way is technically any deck can mitigate the downside by just putting 4 cards in the right lane.
Yes.
So where would you, and which are much easier to do, with Tifoid Mary and Atuma, you need very specific cards to mitigate their downside. There isn't the range is much smaller of technical
Yeah, but that's where I look at it. Like, I would say there's a lot of synergies.
Okay.
But that's what we discussed is currently in Marvel Snap, it's much better to have a few strong cards that synergize with you rather than have a lot that are average, let's say. I don't know if that answers the question.
Yeah, no, that having I guess it was more ease of synergy, that like it doesn't matter how many cards you have, but
Oh,
how easy it is to actually make the synergy happen. Like Annihilus is just one card, and it does other things in the matchup, so it's much better for Sentry. And worst case scenario, it is the 4 cards.
okay. Then you're skipping ahead, but that's a really good transition.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is in the invisible metrics. Number 1 is how simple is it to use?
Like reliability.
Okay.
Well, there's the reliability of the card, but also just the judgment when you see it. If I see a card and I'm like, and I see like, we're gonna take an example that everyone's gonna get here. We're gonna talk about Quake. You show Quake to someone, they're gonna be like, okay, locations are a part of Marvel Snap. You show Quake to Bishop, and he can talk half an hour on it. When a card is simple enough to understand that everyone gets it at first glance, usually the card is going to see a lot of play because it's appealing to a lot of people. When it's more difficult and only a fraction of the player base see the appeal, that fraction has to commit, prove the rest of the community that the card is good, explain to the rest of the community why the card is good, and then they need to test it, and it needs to work out so they're convinced. And we could go back to the Corvus Glaive thing, because it's really a good example. This is also why I wanted to do it this week. If I look at Corvus Glaive, I don't think anyone's going to argue 3-5 is good. Like, does anyone wants to argue that the stats are not strong? I'll take that as a no, and everyone agrees a 3-5 is decent. Oh, it's normal. It's like solid 3. But some people see this part. Some people see this part. And it's so different. Like, I've seen people say Corvus Glaive is unusable because this card doesn't care about +1 energy. And they're right. No discard deck has used +1 energy in the past. Except Ella Tribunal. But, I mean, for the argument's sake, we're gonna say they're right. So, if you just mix both, you're like, but that's not an effect I have synergies with. Well, when I look at the card, what I'm seeing is, wait, you're saying I have Ella and Electro together in one card, and I have good stats for it? That's pure, like, assessment of the card. To me, it's super simple to use. You put it in your deck, you put Ella with it, and you're just playing with +1 energy and turn 5 Ella. That's my Corvus Glaive analysis. But this is why we put that in the invisible metrics. Because the only way we know for real is we gotta play the card. Because, like, we can't argue 3-5 is good. There's no argument there. We can argue whether we think the ability is good or not, but how reliable it is, how simple it is, that's based on everyone because we all have a different understanding. And the same, like, there's another invisible metric that the card is, and it's a very stupid one, but it's literally, do people like you? For example, we're in a metagame where Hela is a very, very good card, and it gets a lot of people hangry. So maybe the discard cards are gonna get shit on social media because they help Hela. That's not their fault. Like, they were not even here. We can't say these cards made Ella good. They were not in the game. But some people are gonna trash talk them. They're pixels, by the way. Stop trash talking pixels. But they're gonna say, don't buy them, they're not worth it, we're tired of seeing Ella. And that's an invisible metric to judge is a card good or not. Because these people's opinion is one way or another impact other people's opinion. Alright, let's keep going in the invisible metrics. What other invisible metric could we have?
Is it possible to just blanket say Shang-Chi?
Yes. But there's the more general answer, which is the biggest invisible metric, and that's the first thing Silvermint actually said.
Was it the meta?
Exactly. For example, let's say Corvus Glaive Comet. There's no reveal written there, right? Well, if the meta is a lot of Cosmo, my analysis of Corvus Glaive is going to be much worse than if the meta is 0 Cosmo. Just because it's on reveal. Like, in the metagame, there is one card that literally says, hey, if I have priority, you have a 1 and 3 to just blink. I could answer, you played a 3-3 and I played a 3-5. I'm still fine with it. I'm going to take that risk. But you could see it. And that's actually a discussion that a lot of people had. A lot of people said, Full Obsidian is a bad card because it dies to Shang-Chi. The meta has a huge impact on the invisible metrics of a card. Let's take a really good card. So, wait. Oh, I'm just in the forecasts. Okay. Stop me when you see a really strong card that is not played enough.
Not played enough.
In your opinion.
Just get to Quake. In the 2-3 at Quake, it's right down there. Just keep scrolling. 2-3 Quake right there. Just.
I don't know. I could make an argument for some of the ones we've already passed, but
no, really, like one that you believe is a really, really strong card, but doesn't see play.
Okay. Medusa.
Okay.
A 2-5. Pretty reliable 2-5.
Yes. Well, here's why it doesn't see a lot of play. That's the reason. If you're a 2-cost, you need to compete with this.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you build your deck, and you're like, would I like 3 power, which I only get if I'm in the middle location, or would I like +1 to +3 energy for the game?
So I guess one of the invisible metrics could just be the opportunity costs of playing a certain card. What can't you play because you played this?
Well, metagame, we're going to divide it in 2, which is cards you will play against. And the other part is you only have 12 cards. So you're stopped by these 2 things in the metagame. You need to adapt to the metagame, and you need to think about what you're gonna face, but at the same time, you need to make a deck that works with only 12 cards. Like, for example, Destroy has been good for over 3 months. Why aren't we all running armor? Really? The answer is here. I only have 12 cards. And I'm already playing Zabu, and I'm already playing Jeff, and I'm already playing the good 2-costs. But literally, if we didn't have good 2-costs in the game, everyone would play armor. Like we did at the big era of Deathwave. In the big era of Deathwave, every single deck with no good 2-cost was playing armor. Because there was a matchup that we were just like, oh, well, I guess I'll take the cubes. Alright. Do we have other invisible metrics?
Yeah, I think we do. I think one invisible metric that we don't talk about is the cards aren't distributed equally. So, right, it was a big factor when you're in the lower tiers, especially. You can not draw a certain card or not have it in your anything that was. You saw it with Darkhawk and Zabu, right? They were expensive until they changed how we acquired the cards. You could run Darkhawk and Zabu, or you can, if you could afford to have them, and if you couldn't, or you didn't acquire them, there was no way to get them.
Mm-hmm. But how does that make the card good or not? That makes whether the card is played or not. But
well, I would argue if a card is not acquired and run, right? Shuri was super popular until, and it's still popular, I guess, but they're cards that were very much available. If everybody has them, then it's worth running the counters for them, right? I guess they're going back to the counter and not to make it good or bad. Never mind. I see your point.
I mean, that kind of leads into snapping in general. Is your Darkhawk deck was better when no one was playing against Darkhawk because you could snap because you had Darkhawk. I think that was kind of the same thing. Like just general the snapping mechanic. That like Shuri was really good because no one was playing things that stopped Shuri because it was good in general, but only so many people had Shuri when it came out.
oh, you mean availability? Oh, surprise?
Yeah, I'm definitely surprise value in the card, but availability definitely plays into the surprise value of a card. I think like a little bit less now, but more when Bishop was talking like the Darkhawk Shuri era of card acquisition.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll move this.
Only 1 in 100 people are playing Shuri, or 1 in 1,000 people are playing Shuri. It's not essential to tech against it, right? But when now everybody has access to it, then you have to tech against it more often. So the card is less good as it becomes more played, because that's the way I would look at it. But again, that may be splitting hairs a little bit.
The opportunity cost of acquisition, like, Cull Obsidian is really great on the math. And if you don't have all the cards and you're trying to figure out which ones you want to buy later, you might skip it just based on. But it's hard to plan for that one because you don't know for any given opponent whether or not their collection complete or. Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
No, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm good.
Oh. I think one thing we haven't mentioned yet as an invisible metric is, do you like playing that kind of deck? I mean, if it's the sort of thing that isn't.
Do people like you?
Mm-hmm,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep, fair.
All right. So it's kind of funny because it's the one we didn't develop, but this one is going to be the team for today because we said we were going to talk about the Valentine's event.
Mm-hmm.
So, get it up. Image. Great. So, here, if we go to the Valentine's event, there are a lot of cards which I'm like, wait, they buffed this? For example, I'm like, Sarah plus 1 power. Who thought it was a good idea to buff Sarah? But it's not that simple, because it's not just that power got buffed. It's a mix of how simple is it to use in order to get the extra power. Because it's not they gave plus 1 power to Sarah. It's they gave plus 1 power to Sarah if Angela is in your deck.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, no, actually, if Angela is in your deck and you're willing to play it.
Yeah, there you go.
And so this event is really about this question. How simple is it to use? And this. Because actually I could do one. Oh, yes. Because these two are connected. could color them away so we know they're like together. So there are two things that I want to look at. So we're going to do the first one, and then we're going to do the second one, which is the sneaky one that is really the heart of what I want to discuss today. So first, let's discuss the couples from a standpoint of, is there a really good and really bad? Is it balanced, or is it too good? So for example, if we take Angela and Sarah. So, I mean, I think everyone would agree Sarah is in the good category. But so is Angela also in the good category, or is it kind of like holding it back?
These days, I'd say maybe it's holding it back. It used to be an extremely common card, and they've slowly chipped away at a lot of the old Bounce synergies, and Bounce is a new kind of deck now, new kind of show.
Okay, so we have one holding it back. How about the other two?
Yeah, Angela's definitely holding Sarah back, I think, in the context of the meta for 2 costs.
Okay, two holding it back. Bishop.
Well, I would say that you could argue, okay, so you can put Angela early. You can stack Angela. Your goal is to build Angela anyways and add more points to her. So the play style, adding power to Angela throughout the game, that extra bonus point when you play Sarah on 5 is no different than if you were to play Sarah into Angela, so to speak, right? Except by 1 point. So you gain the extra point there, and you gain the same point on Sarah. And then on top of that, Sarah lowers the cost. The synergy with Sarah is that it lowers the cost of anything you play on 6. So you have lots of cards that you can still play onto Angela late game and build up Angela's power as well. So I think the synergy actually is, I think it's pretty strong.
Well, there's one thing that I never understood. I don't know if it's in the tier list this week. You have a Sarah control deck. Here. If I take a Sarah control deck, there's one thing that I really didn't understand is, do we all agree Angela with 3 cards behind it is a 2/5? Or are we cool on this?
Yeah.
Okay, Angela with 3 cards behind it and Sarah is a 2/6. Why are we playing Maximus and not Angela?
Probably how difficult in this case with Miss Marvel, how it's not just that it's, you need 3 cards behind it, but you need 3 cards of different values. And there might be a lot of things that happen over the course of a game that makes you not want to stack those cards on that location.
Exactly.
So I think going back to Not For Long's idea, how hard is this to pull off as a combo really matters.
Yes. There's number 1, how simple is it to use? Well, Maximus is very simple. Keep it in your hand, drop it on turn 6.
Mm-hmm.
Angela is play it when you can, grow it, hopefully play 3 cards behind it. By the way, if you have Miss Marvel, don't play it with other 2 cost, which I would just say, if you're playing Miss Marvel, just play Angela in the middle and don't consider the costs. And the other thing is synergies. Angela asks me to play 3 cards behind it to make it a 2/6, to make it compete with Maximus. It also forces me to have Sarah on the board, which isn't too big of a condition, as if the deck has Sarah, it will play Sarah on turn 5. But yes, the big problem for, I'll keep it, but the big problem for Angela is this, how simple is it to use? It's not as good as Maximus late in the game. It's almost forced to be played in the middle because of Miss Marvel. And if I don't get Sarah, I'd rather have just Maximus and just focus on 2 lanes, which doesn't tell my opponent where my points are going to be. While if I don't Sarah on turn 5, my opponent pretty much knows I'm not able to spread power on all 3 lanes, so they know I'm going to play on the Angela lane, which gives them information.
I might make one other consideration, though. I'm switching sides a little bit.
Go ahead.
A Sarah control deck may want to lose priority. And so one thing about Angela that's nice versus Maximus is Maximus is going to do a lot to give you priority.
Well, considering you usually just slam it on turn 6, no, but I see your point.
Mm-hmm.
On 2 because I want priority.
I couldn't hear the start of your sentence.
said I always play Maximus on 2 because I need priority.
Yes,
I
but
play
you're
the
not playing
exact
Sarah
opposite
control.
way. Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to number 2, Captain America and Agent 13, which actually have been one of the best power couples of the event so far.
Oh, we also skipped Black Panther and Nakia.
Oh yeah, because I'm an idiot. My bad.
No.
So, Black Panther and Nakia. Where are we putting both cards?
Nowhere.
Well, Nakia is in Surfer.
I was gonna say Nakia. I've seen like more benefits of lately.
Well, it's
I mean,
a Surfer
I
card.
guess. Yes.
But that's about it. Yeah, Black Panther. I mean, the thing is, Black Panther at +1, I understand. Because it's +2 in reality. Because it doubles its power. And then if it's behind Wong, it's +4. And if you Zola it's +8. That's potentially the biggest buff of the entire list. Problem is potentially. Because we go back to this. How simple is it to use? Nakia has one deck, and it's Silver Surfer. Have we ever seen Black Panther in Silver Surfer?
Maybe negatives Surfer? No, I don't know.
No, never.
No, that's not a natural one. No.
I will raise you a deck that actually did pretty well, which was this. Like, it's positive. Not doing so bad, honestly. But yeah, the problem is, if I go to my how simple is it to use, well, it's not that simple. First, differently to Angela and Sarah, none of these two are a card that is an auto play. Because when in a couple, you have one of the two cards that you always want to play if you draw it, naturally, it makes playing the other one simpler. In a Sarah deck, if I have Sarah on turn 5, unless something absolutely specific happens, I will play Sarah on turn 5. The problem with Black Panther and Nakia is, even when I draw both, sometimes I'm like, do I want to play them? And the thing is, if I play one, I kind of commit to playing the other. And this is where the balance is kind of weird, is because none of them are the foundation of the deck. So I don't have anything to start the machine on playing the couple. When Angela and Sarah, I have a machine that's really easy to start. It's called Sarah Control, and it exists for like 2.5 years. All right, do we have anything else to say about this couple, or can we move on to the next one?
I'm good.
Okay, moving on to Captain America and Agent 13. So this has been a really, really good couple lately. It wasn't in the last tier list because it didn't emerge back then. But now in the Loki decks, it's pretty solid. I could make the Loki deck real quick. If you need to see it, there's this. Of course, we're gonna play Zabu because why not? I think there's Dino in there. What are we missing? Mirage. I think people are still playing Collector.
Would it be Miss Marvel? I haven't
Miss
seen
Marvel, yes. This, I was gonna look at the forecast, but yeah, no, there's no Collector. It's something like this, basically. So, if I go back to my assessment of the card, I'm presented with... So, first, we're talking about a +2 power. So if I go back to my spreadsheet, Agent 13 went from normal power to conditional ability in terms of power. I look at the card and I'm like, oh, damn, the condition is have space in hand. I think I'll manage. Captain America, same thing. Well, no. Captain America went from beneficial ability to high-end normal power. Look at the card. Your other cards here have +1 power. That's strictly beneficial. There's no... Okay, it's a 3/5 that I can get up to 3 cards. So it's from a 3/5 to a 3/8. Okay, I'll take that. So the offer, like if I go back here, my assessment of the power for cost is naturally much more interesting. Up until this point, like the more interesting one was Angela, which would grow to a 2/6, but I already had like a card in the game which was called Maximus, which was a 2/6, and I could find reasons why I would want to play Maximus instead of Angela. While now, if I compare Captain America with other 3 costs, the only one that compares is Gladiator. And the ability of Gladiator can be discussed. I mean, I could discuss other cards, like we could name Bishop, we could name Hitmonkey, we could name that kind of card that can grow much higher than 8, but they are very conditional. It's not like I can fit them in any deck. Like, Captain America just tells me, play 3 cards here, whenever you want, whatever cards they are. So, immediately, this sport, like the visible metrics, are really good. I have a much better power to cost, both abilities are very solid, and I have a strong card, which is called Loki. Pretty strong card, I heard. I mean, for the last 5 months, I think. So, the visibles are really good, unless someone wants to discuss it. I guess that's a resounding no.
Yeah, visibles look good.
Okay.
Yep.
Now let's look at the invisibles. Surprise value. Well, considering Captain America hasn't seen play in anything else than a bot deck, people are not going to respect it. And, I mean, what's more surprising than, hey, I got a card in my hand, guess what it is? So, surprise value, it's there, it's okay. Metagame, there's not that much ongoing hate. I mean, in the 2 decks Call Obsidian is played, he took the spot of Enchantress in the bounce deck, which is perfect for Captain America, and Thanos removed like Iron Lad, or sometimes he removes Leech, which is good as well because you have abilities. So now the only question we have is, how simple is it to use? So, I don't think we need to discuss much about how simple is it to play Agent 13. 1 costs are usually the easiest cards in the game to play, if they cost 1, so you can just play whenever. The question we have to ask ourselves is, how simple is Captain America to play?
Pretty simple.
Yes and no.
Especially because we've got Miss Marvel that incentivizes us to stack different cost cards, and a 1/3 are different cost.
That's true, and there's always the possibility of just, if you don't want to mess with that, just play Captain America on the middle, so Miss Marvel goes there. It might not be a good idea to stack your ongoings because Enchantress, but, I mean, there's a way to protect it if we need to. There's one reason that says it might not be so simple to use, and the reason is this bad boy. Because this bad
There's
boy
other
says,
things you want to play.
skip 3. Zabu is just like, fuck 3 costs. We don't care about you. 2 to 4. We're like even numbers.
I would disagree, because Captain America can be played easily. It's just as effective on 6 as it is on 3, right?
Oh like, god, Bishop was not sleeping at the back of the class. Yes, very good point.
No,
yes.
And then on top of that, if you play Zabu on 2, you can play any of your 4 costs alongside of Captain America on 6, and you're squeaking in 7. So, I'd say it works great.
It is good.
Yeah, Zabu needs to be played early to be effective. Captain America does not care.
Yes, so that makes it much more simpler. And there's one other thing, and that's kind of the cheat code for the couples. The cheat code is Mr. Loki. Oh, you don't have a chance to play Captain America this game? Don't play it. I'll change it. Because here we have a couple where honestly Agent 13 could be played in the Loki deck, even outside of the event. Like, we have the machine that we had with Angela and Sarah. We have the deck where one of the two cards makes sense. So here, we're not forced to play both cards. We're just only forced to add Captain America to a Loki deck. And if we have the 3/8 Captain America, we can take it. And if we don't, we can be like, just become another card. So here, it's not so much of the upside. It's really about there's no downside. And this is one invisible metric that we could add. Downside. Some cards have downsides, which can be the fact that you're forced to play other cards, which can be the fact that it might be difficult to use, stuff like that. In this case, when you have Loki in your deck, a lot of the downsides just disappear, because worst case, you're like, I'll just play Loki. And +2 power is obviously stronger than +1 power. Alright, Gambit and Rogue, and this one is going to be a very interesting one. So, do I need to present Gambit and Rogue, or everyone knows what we're talking about?
No.
Okay, so let's look at the power to cost. They are 3/3 and 3/2, so they're both here. Rogue goes to 3/4, Gambit goes to 3/5, so they all go from beneficial to normal power, which, as we already discussed with Agent and Captain America, makes their visible metrics really good. One could argue if Gambit was a 3/5, like stats, we would play it outside of discard decks sometimes. We would just be like, wait, I can kill something? You're telling me I can, like, because Zabu is a 2-cost. Like, when you have both Gambit and Rogue in your deck, just like, Zabu will not exist in this world. Just kill it or steal it. But yes, do we want to discuss the visible metrics, or can we say that they're pretty good on the visible metrics because they change a category?
Mhm.
Okay, now, moving on to the invisible metrics. Gambit is going to be here. Well, it's both going to be the metagame, but it's not the same ones. Gambit is in the synergies, because it's a discard deck. You only have 12 cards in your deck, and Gambit kinda needs certain cards to go with him. While Rogue, even if it's a 3/4, if you don't see any ongoings, it's still a bad card, unfortunately. So this is where we have to work. So, if we take a look here, here, neither cards are useful. Here, we have one target, but Gambit is kind of a walk-in disaster, because there's a lot of targets that would help our opponent. Here, no ongoing's ability. Gambit could be okay. I mean, you kill Lockjaw, you kill Dracula. That's not so bad. Here, there's 1.5. I mean, actually, you can Rogue Kyra, so you can Gambit something. But that sounds extremely difficult.
You can.
Third sentence.
Yeah, that's like a 6-cost Enchantress then.
Yes, but that's 9
if you're just
power.
trying to target.
That's a 6/9.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's very expensive, especially if Gambit destroys his tone. That's a lot of effort for not much.
Mm-hmm.
Here, 1 ongoing. Well, 2, my bad.
No, 2. Well, 3.
Where's the third one?
Zabu.
Zabu. Oh yeah, actually, literally the card that makes the couple good. Zabu, well, then it's gonna be here literally nothing, and there's armor, so your Gambit can even miss. Here we have Quinjet and Zabu, is pretty okay. Steal Zabu because. And here we have like kind of different Zabu, but for another deck. This is where people start playing Rogue because the deck was already made. It was easier to do. And here we kind of have targets. But yeah, the big thing is here. If you play against a lot of Zabu, you now have 2 cards to shut it down. That's actually a pretty good couple against Zabu. But it's not necessarily such a good couple against the other ones. And the problem with Gambit is that it's statted as a beneficial ability. But really, it's a conditional one. Because Rogue doesn't push for a discard deck, but Gambit does. And the thing with discard is, if you discard Rogue, Gambit never gets buffed. So the couple isn't so difficult, so simple to use. So we go back to this part, because you either have to play Gambit in a no discard deck, or you have to play Rogue in a discard deck, and neither kind of makes sense. So really, the reason to run the couple is the metagame. Both cards are really good against Zabu. The question is, what deck needs help against Zabu and can run both cards? And then we have a really, really difficult couple to use, even if the bonuses are super appealing. All right, do we have more about Gambit and Rogue, or can we move on to the next couple?
We can move on. Oh,
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Invisible and Mr. Fantastic. Where do we rank them? So they get +2. So Invisible Woman goes from normal power to high conditional ability. Mr. Fantastic goes from very good ability to normal power. Once again, we jump a column, so that's really good. Makes the visible metrics really interesting. The synergies, there's a lot, but not necessarily very, very strong cards. And the big problem is there's a huge metagame problem with this couple.
Yes.
Which is named
Eliath.
Yes. There's here, like, Invisible Woman gets +2 power. But if it's to lose a full lane, I'm not sure it's worth it. So here, it's kind of the exact opposite of Rogue and Gambit. Rogue and Gambit are a good couple if you see a lot of Zabu, while Invisible Woman and Mr. Fantastic are a decent couple if you don't see a lot of Aliath.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's the same thing. The how simple is it to use is based on something that we don't control, and most of the time people don't really like things they can't control.
I would argue it's even worse when we bring in snapping, because aside from some energy cheating solutions, usually you won't know if they have an Alioth until the 6th turn. So you've already snapped, and then your entire strategy could fall apart.
Yeah, they snapped you like when they saw Invisible Woman, which is turn 2, and you were like,
yep.
Oh, I don't know why. And then on turn 6, you know why.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's kind
I've played against somebody who's.
Go ahead.
I played against somebody whose name is like playing like.
Whoa. Sorry,
we can't really make you up, Invisible Women, and
your audio quality is terrible.
The connection is bad.
Yeah, you're very robotic.
Yes. You're making me want to rewatch Tron.
This is better. No, I lost the Wi-Fi.
All right, moving
Feel
on.
bad?
It's like when you don't speak for too long, it's okay. But when you start like a sentence of multiple seconds, usually we never get the second half. All right, moving on to the next couple, Iron Man and Rescue. Once again, here we have a really good card, which is Iron Man, but it's for a 5 cost, it's gonna take a lot to get Iron Man to an 8 power. And I hope he'll never be, because, I mean, it's just gonna break the game. Rescue, on the other hand, goes from 4-5 plus 5. No, 4-4 plus 5 to 4-5 plus 5, right? Unless I'm mistaken.
Well, I mean, Rescue's ability is already to grow power, so
Yeah, it goes from 9 to 10, which, by the Shang-Chi power I was invested into, is a terrible idea.
Mm-hmm.
And also, and this is kind of the problem with this couple, that's a problem.
Yep.
Like, I have a card, like, I literally have a Rescue with an easier condition. And because Shang-Chi is in every deck, which, once again, is the metagame part, I actually like a 4-9 more than I like a 5-10 or 4-10. If I have a choice. If I don't have a choice, I'll take the 4-10. But so here, the problem kind of is, I need to give my opponent a good Shang-Chi target, plus information where I'm going to play next turn, in order to get +1 power to my Iron Man. That sounds absolutely difficult.
Well, and then the opportunity cost, how much easier is it to give power to Iron Man with other cards?
Yeah, it feels like Forge and Iron Man are a better couple.
And Forge doesn't reveal the lane, so...
Exactly.
You
cost 1.
You
That's really not better, Bishop. Sorry. All right.
I think Bishop was trying to say that Daniel is very wise. Thank you, Bishop.
All right, moving on to Miles Morales and Ghost Spider. Actually, a couple that doesn't see much play, but for once, it's a couple that's already a couple in a deck. It's in the move deck.
Yeah.
We already play a card. So, if we look at our little spreadsheet, Ghost Spider goes from normal to slightly good. Well, slightly conditional. It's good. She moves up a spot. Miles Morales goes from beneficial ability to normal power. But it's normal power for a 1 cost. That's pretty good. So here, I'm happy. Like, this couple makes sense. The problem with this couple, which makes the visibles are decent here, and the how simple is it to use, that's probably the easiest couple to use so far. Because, like, literally, you can net deck. You can net deck a deck from before the event. Which I don't think we could have done with anything else before. So there was no couple in that situation. The problem is synergies. The move deck isn't good.
Yep.
So here, when I look at all the metrics, I see a lot of good things, and then I play the deck, and I'm like, but my deck isn't strong enough. Even with +2 power. That's unfortunate, but that's just sometimes the reality of the game. So here, the problem is the synergies in the visible metrics, but also invisible metrics, cards you will play against. They are cards you will go against, which are still stronger than a 1-3 Ghost Spider and a 4-6 Miles Morales. Pretty wild when you say it this way.
Honestly, the fact that I haven't been seeing more of those two just shows you how much move is hurting at the moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
She-Hulk and Daredevil. couple that actually made a lot of noise early in the week, because we were a little bit in the Sarah Angela situation, which was, if I go to my metrics, Daredevil goes from beneficial ability to really good ability to conditional ability. So that's insane. He jumps 2 columns. That's one of the best ones we've had so far. And She-Hulk goes from the bottom of normal power to the high end of normal power, considering she has a beneficial ability, which is already like, she's already supposed to be here, and she was at some point. Like, she really is a 10, nerfed to 9, went back to 10, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So she stays in the same column, but she goes from the low end to the high end. How simple is it to use? We have a deck. That's a deck that's existed for a very long time, and that's actually a deck that doesn't mind too much knowing what the opponent does on turn 5, so you know if you have to pass or if you have to play leech. Metagame. Well, Inchinot isn't so badly positioned in the metagame, and although you only have 12 cards in your deck, you still have spots, because Inchinot has 2 flex spots, which are Armor and Cosmo, or Kyra and what is usually the other card? Literally have a section for this. Kyra and Shocker.
Mhm.
So we're gonna keep the protective one. We're gonna keep Armor or Kyra, and we'll remove the other one for Daredevil. That works. Surprise value, 0. That's kind of the problem. There's 0 surprise. Like, you play Misty Knight or Sunspot on turn 1, and the surprise is gone. Which is normal. I mean, you get something that's really simple to use. The visible metrics become really good. The synergies are in place. The metagame is decent. There's barely any downside. At least you don't have the surprise value. But yes, really good couple, because as we've seen at this point of discussion, usually if you clear the synergies and the metagame part, and you're simple to use, you're gonna do pretty well. Star-Lord and Gamora. So, Star-Lord goes to beneficial ability to normal power, which is okay, and Gamora stays. Well, no, she goes from beneficial ability to normal power as well. So both become really good power-wise. The ability of the card makes it difficult, but there's the synergies, because there's a strong deck. It's called Lockdown. We've been doing it forever.
Mm-hmm.
So at least we have the deck. So visible metrics, the ability isn't so good, but power, cost, and synergies are decent. Now, invisible metrics. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just going to say, I think also, like, for thinking about Miss Marvel synergies, here's is it a 2 and a 5? You know, if you can do other things to try to narrow down which lane they're going to play in, it's not that hard to pull off their extra abilities. So I see it as similar to the Captain America and Agent 13, except that the nice thing of Captain America and Agent 13 is they're low cost, so it doesn't choke you off towards the end, opportunity cost-wise. But I actually see that as powerful in the same way.
Yes, but this couple has one problem. And it's this one. You only have 12 cards in your deck. 1 and 3 are kind of open costs. 2 and 5 are very, very competitive. Because, okay, you can remove Medusa. Medusa and Star-Lord are kind of the same card with a different ability. Although Medusa is much more reliable because I don't have to gamble. But now, I get a Star-Lord, like, I still have to gamble, but at least I get a 3-6 when I win, which is more than, I get a 2-6, which is more than a 2-5. Okay. But, there are 2 problems for Gamora. Problem number 1, Vision is a really, really good card. Problem number 2, Vision is also in the freaking event. And
now double synergies is a question, right?
yeah, and this is where we have this, which is you only have 12 cards in your deck. And now we have to ask, like, do we play Gamora? Do we play Vision? Do we play both? Because if we look at the basic list, and this is where Gamora and Star-Lord, I feel, should have gotten a +2 if we wanted to play them. Because they fit in the same archetype as Vision. And they cost the same as Vision and her partner. So really, one couple is switch Medusa for Scarlet Witch, while the other one is switch Medusa and Vision for Star-Lord and Gamora. So logically, although there's a lot of really good things to say about Star-Lord and Gamora, there's that little part, which is you only have 12 cards in your deck, that is like, we're sorry, we can fit one. I don't know if we can fit two. And the event is about fitting two.
And okay,
I think though you would. I think we forget Super Giant, right? Because that's the pivot card for me on those two pairs. Super Giant yells for Gamora, whereas not using Super Giant says Vision's a better card.
Well, we said the synergies are pretty good.
Yeah.
No, I see what you mean. Because normally the nice thing about Scarlet Witch and Vision is you get to decide where they're beneficial to play. With the Guardians of the Galaxy deck, you're having to kind of anticipate the opponent. Super Giant lets you have your cake and eat it too. Makes sense to me.
All right, and that was good that these two were the last ones because we kind of did them together because they had the exact same analysis. Is just one had a little edge on this part because when you say you only have 12 cards and you only have to change one compared to when you only have to change two, naturally changing one is easier than two. All right. So, are there any questions about this? About like assessing cards and how we need to change the way we look at cards depending on its power, depending on synergies available, depending on a lot of things that are going on in the environment at the time, and otherwise we'll start playing a little bit.
The only thing I would say is I've loved this event, and it's because it's taking the idea of a favored location, but it's way better. It's not changing the balance of the game. It's a temporary boost to certain synergies. It still requires creative deck building, and unlike a favored location, which is the same location every time, you don't know how people are going to react to this challenge. So as a little brief mini meta, I think this is a glorious way to keep the game fresh. I've really loved this.
I loved it as well. And what I love the most is they did it in a way that is easy to understand because they used visible metrics most of the time. We've tackled invisible metrics tonight because we play at a level where the metagame is often more important than one power or not. But everyone understands. Like, most people are not gonna care about the invisible metrics a lot of the time. I would say climbing to infinite is very, very little about invisible metrics and a lot about visible metrics. And this event is 100% about visible metrics. So I think it was also good from a design standpoint because it was talking every single player. If the event was, let's say, like, both share their ability now, like Vision moves and change the location when Scarlet Witch moves and change the location, it would have been so much more difficult to understand. And so a lot of players would have been like, oh my god, that's too much trouble. I'm not gonna go there. Power is something that everyone understands. Not everyone's gonna do spreadsheets, but everyone understands it. All righto. Is there anyone that wants to play some decks around the event? Because there's a lot. We can play some Lockdown, we can play the Loki deck, we can play the Surfer deck, if anyone wants to test it. It's one of the one I tested for a tier list, and actually it was a blast. We can test this one. There's a lot of them.
I'm happy to test.
I'd be happy to test Loki.
Okay, we got
I
Loki.
actually have to head out, but this was awesome, Dan. I the last hour and a half, this was super in depth. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah.
Happy for the feedback. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you. Night, guys.
Bye-bye.
Night. So Bishop, you want to play Loki? I might want to try the Surfer because I still miss the Surfer days. So anytime to try to bring it back is fun for me.
Sounds good.
All right. Do you need the list, Bishop?
Yeah, if you don't, yes, I would. That'd be great.
Yeah. Love Surfer. That's a great name. Okay. Got it. Let me call it up. Thanks for doing that. Okay. Copy. Collection. Okay, let me see what we got here. So, wow, Black Panther, Arnim Zola, and a Surfer deck. Wong. I see. Yeah. Ooh, this.
It's literally like two game plans merged together. It's
Yeah,
like
I'm.
against people that beat you on that don't have disruption. You go for that. For example, like this combo beats Ella because you're just like, yeah, I know you're beating the Surfer deck, but hey, I'm not playing Surfer.
I think, yeah, part of it's going to be, yeah, just trying to have an understanding of when you pivot to which play style kind of thing, like how to make that choice point. That's going to be fun. So I'm looking at this deck, and parts of my brain are just like, no, no, no. Okay, I see how to play this. Wait, what are you doing there? And it's just interesting to see how it'll stitch.
Bishop, you have the Loki deck. Obviously, Cosmo is flexible. Could be Mobius. Could be Rogue. And Mirage could be Sentinel if you don't have it.
I should have one of those cards.
Okay. Wow, that is just wild. Honestly, I'm wondering if one of the benefits of Invisible Woman is just to set up bait to waste their turn 6. And you're really just playing it for the fantastic synergy? I don't know. Then again, if you have priority, you don't really need to worry about it as much. And there are some good ways to get fast priority here. This is an interesting deck. What the heck?
The deck that's gonna force you to adapt.
Yeah. Okay. This is fun.
I think I'm ready whenever.
Cool. Do you want to
Whoever
start?
shares the screen first. Go.
Sure, I can do that. Working on it and change it.
Okay. 44%, Bishop.
It's okay. We actually talked a lot today, so we're gonna need to be extremely effective on the game. No misplay, lots of high rolls, immediate wins,
Good. Good.
and obviously no pressure.
Yes. No analysis.
But 8 cubes would be nice.
I mean, at least 2 or 3 times each. I wonder if Bishop's having that thing where the audio drops out. Oh, and then Bishop drops out. All right, here we go again.
Okay.
All
right, try that again.
Can you see my screen? Are we working?
We can see it and we can hear you, ish.
Okay.
Captain Loki. All right. Well, you already have one advantage. Your opponent is losing, so that's good.
My system.
Oh yeah, there's the
Yeah, it's
featured
tricky.
location.
Oh, which one is it right now?
Doing that.
Oh, okay.
So what's the plan? The plan is next turn we play the card we got plus Queen Jet?
Yeah, that was my thought.
Okay.
Or we can play another Mirage and a Quinjet, right? Because we'll have that option.
Yeah, but I don't think I would have played Queen Mirage and cloning that, because you're just shuffling more stuff in your deck and you really want to get Loki back.
Don't I have Loki on 4 anyways?
No, it's
look at the left location,
Adelan.
Bishop.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Which is even a worry possibly about having played Agent 13 on the one.
Yes, it's fine.
Well, then you're probably going to get a couple of Dark Hawks, and you're not going to have the stones to back them up.
Silverman, I come with the stones, no worries.
Oh, all right. Who needs deck building when you've got bravado?
I guess it's Iron Lad.
Well, Shang-Chi isn't bad. I mean, it's a 3/8. I don't mind playing 3/8s over and over.
Just into the tiny box.
Next turn you can Iron Lad plus Zabu, and turn 6 you can Iron Lad forever, basically. I love the card. They love it too.
It's bigger. So we don't get the rocks. There goes the Shang-Chi.
Is there any argument? Let's see. No, they have priority, so the Cosmo doesn't really help. I was just wondering if we could stop that heart.
Zabu, I would think Zabu right, and then Iron Lad center again.
I would Zabu left, because Zabu left gives you a chance to grab priority.
Okay, makes sense. Jeff. Goes another pig. Oh, look at that.
We got the boy. I would have. Oh, wait. What happens with Agent 13 if you copy a Captain America? Does she get +2 per Captain America?
I think so.
Dirty girl.
But unfortunately, turn 6. But yeah.
It's 8, 9, 10, that's 8.
You don't need to, because your agent is a 4 once you play
So
Captain
just
America.
8.
Actually, would play Captain America to the left. I would Iron Lad right, but Captain America left.
Well, but also that you've got 1 energy left, and there's a rock, and if you play the rock
Ooh.
with Captain America, you get a little extra.
Okay, then you could reverse and play Captain America plus Rock right, Iron Lad left, but then you're right because yeah, Captain America is already a 3/5, so you would have Agent as a 5, 5 and 5, 10. So you would have 11. You're ahead. That's fine.
Okay.
Avengers! Assemble.
Are we gonna win on a rock?
No,
We're gonna win on-
The
but we're not going to lose on it either.
I was gonna say the rock didn't win, but he usually wins because he's super protected.
Yeah.
But you need to watch
Okay,
wrestling
well.
to get the joke. All right, Bishop. We do the exact same thing, except this time you're gonna read the locations.
This is what happens when you play so much Quake. You're like, I don't need to look at the locations. I'll just change them later anyway.
Well, no,
Exactly.
you
No,
don't
it's
change
true.
them. You move them around, so you need to read them.
Yeah, you know, okay, so we're-
I mean, you should have picked the Scarlet Witch couple.
Honestly.
I did that already though. I already played that. So Agent 13 Into the Blind, I think.
Yes.
We'll hold the Quinjet for a second. Congrats on the can play with it. Oh, nice.
Oh.
That was very nice.
So you're playing a Loki deck. You just got discount energy.
Yeah, that's probably
Do you wanna-
snappable.
We don't know what they're doing yet, but yeah. Plus, Quinjet can now be played on the left, which is great.
Yeah. Do I just go Coulson here though? Or do I Quinjet and then Coulson? Or we can Quinjet Mirage and take advantage of Coulson next turn.
Nah, Coulson is better. I would Coulson right, Quinjet left. Or middle. You snap, they snap?
Awesome.
Ooh.
When you got Quinjet, like Agent, Mirage, like
Compare to the Cosmos, really. That's the
Ooh. Sandman is sneaky.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure I want Sandman against the lockdown deck, but... Oh! I'll take that.
Mm.
So, just lucky, right? And just let everything down.
I mean, it's either Loki or it's Warpath Mirage. But
Yeah.
the only thing I'm gonna regret from this hand is Cosmo. Everything else I don't mind switching.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think Loki is either unless you Cosmo Warpath into the. But you can't do that. You can only play one of them.
I think,
Warpath Mirage.
it's a lockdown deck. You want priority because that kills their alias. Loki's really good at seizing priority because you're gonna steal a hand and it's gonna be -3. That's stupid.
And I get their Zabu. Oh, I got their Vision. I got their. Oh, I got the.
I mean,
Oh, and I won the lane. Oh, and I won the lane.
Well, you haven't won the
well,
lane.
we don't.
You-
Yes.
They can
I
still
mean-
Vision Doom and stuff like that, but
Right. So can we? And we can do it
Oh.
this turn.
Oh, this is a happy
Sheesh.
hand.
Now the question is, okay, so Vision.
yeah, Jeff right. Nebula left. Because there's a restriction. They can't play their 2-cost on the left, and you know they just drew Zabu.
But if I put Nebula left, then I can't use Miss Marvel.
Oh, yeah, true. Oh, that's annoying. Okay. True. This is why I wanted Quinjet middle in the past, but... Not because Nebula, just so we had flexibility on where to play later on.
Hey, I have a Vision too. Okay. So here's a question: do we try to Alioth early?
No. We play
Okay.
Miss Marvel, so we're 100% to have priority, and we'll play Alias to protect it next turn.
And should vision go
Ah,
3, 4, 2? Should vision go right?
Why move him right now?
No, Vision goes middle
Just
for priority, and Captain America left. Because
okay.
the only way they get priority is if they move their Vision to the right, and if they move their Vision
Which
to
is-
the right, you're probably gonna win middle.
They're down 12. Right, they're down 12. Okay.
Avengers!
Avengers!
Okay. So what are they gonna do? Doom. Ooh,
Doom rules all.
that's good, but we still have priority.
You'll win. Main thing.
Okay. So here,
The only question is, do you move Jeff left or not?
yeah, no, I was looking at that. I was going to do the math. So if their vision comes over, then they're going to be at 21, and we'll be 9 plus 8 is 17. So 18, 19, 20. So we lose. Vision Jeff loses.
No, because you're at 17. If you go plus Vision
Oh, I'm
minus
sorry,
Jeff,
sorry,
you're at
20.
22.
23, I'm sorry.
So if you anticipate they're at 21, you don't need Jeff. You can move it.
Oh, sorry, I forgot about Miss Marvel. Okay.
You can't play it left.
Oh, because he's a one cost, yeah.
Because Shang-Chi is a 1 cost. Oh. Unfun.
Victory.
Yes.
But yeah, the deck works. At least we know that.
Yeah.
So, Silvermint, ready for Surfer?
Yeah. Sure. So let me share your screen.
Let's do it.
Here we go. Should be working. Okay. So let's see if I can get my brain around this.
It's really 2 decks, and you just have to pick which one you want to play.
Fair. Luckily, my strength is not overthinking things. Okay. Let's see. All right. Forge. Oh. Let's see. What do I have here? These squirrels are really annoying for me, but yeah, Forge. I don't know. Right. I want to try to keep the left open for Wong.
You're really good at picking avatars that make me think of you.
Thank you. I appreciate them. Okay, we've got a Deadpool and a Valley of the Hand. Interesting. Okay. So, do I want to play? Let's see. I could do Invisible Woman on the right. Wait, hold on. What am I going to be drawing? No, I just want the space. Even if it's going to set up a Fantastic. Yeah.
Probably.
That's true. So maybe Invisible on the right.
Yes.
Mhm.
Just get her out. Please.
Oh.
That's good, because Destroy doesn't have... oof, that's a really
Oh.
good location for Destroy.
Yeah. And we can't really do anything about that one, but...
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think I dropped this here. Like...
Yeah, we're literally just gonna do our stuff and see if they snap us and are scary enough to be...
Actually good for them not to play Killmonger, but they probably will.
I mean, honestly, holding it back is perfect as a play for them.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So,
It's in their best interest not to play it, I think.
Wong on the left because I'm hoping they kill Monger and we can set up some copies, or either way.
Yeah. Or Surfer, yeah.
Yep. Honestly, like I can see why they're not doing it. They don't want to fill things up on the center with their squirrels. But the fact that they're just ignoring cloning vats is
They're
Turn.
Yeah, kind of sloppy.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, now I only have 1/3 on the board, so setting up a Surfer Absorbing Man next turn is not as good. So I think I've got to put down Black Panther. Yeah.
You'll see what you draw. If you get like another tree, you can still decide to Surfer and play your other tree. Otherwise, you set up your Zola. Just give yourself options.
Yep. Yeah, they're gonna hold it. Killmonger. And it's smart. It's been smart.
Yep. Nope. They're doing it right.
I hear the Asian turtles are the smartest ones. That's
Okay, so they've got possibly a null coming. They've probably got their. That doesn't help. Let's see. So, okay, if I do a Zola, if I copy the squirrel, that's hilarious and bad. Let's see.
and then you feed the null too.
Yeah. I think honestly, I've got to maybe Nakia center, Surfer left, and hope.
So
It's not a
Nakia
strong position.
center and Surfer left would have +4 in the middle, so 9. 9 plus 8, 17. If they play Venom middle, they beat you. So I think you have to gamble the Zola.
All right,
You
for
get
one.
2 cracks then.
I mean,
It's
you have
50%, right?
You have 66% to win the game.
All right. See what happens.
I didn't think.
Oh. Huh.
And he was worried.
Oh. Once again, then.
Well, actually, true. On the right, you had didn't have space, so it was 33%. But we don't retreat on 33.
Oof.
Is stay on the
Yeah,
screen so
really
we
nice.
can stay on the screen so we can just count what happened if we went the other line. So if we go Nakia Surfer,
We lose the left.
we lose left
and
and
we lose
right,
the right.
by a mile.
Yep.
No, that was the only play, and 33%. Like 1 in 3 is enough to right. I said 2 in 3, but that was wrong. It was 1 in 3.
And you look really good doing it too, right? Those are really good numbers.
Yeah, but like we already discussed the math that if you retreat this every single time, you lose 4. Well, if you win it 1 out of 3 times, you lose 2. You gain 2 cube playing it.
Yeah, once again, don't think of it as a single transaction. Think of multiple.
Yeah, unless you're gonna stop playing Marvel Snap after this one.
Unlikely. Okay, is there any benefit to preserving that location on the left? I've got Wong and I've got Panther. Can grow both of them.
Usually,
Brood.
the only reason you have to not play Forge on turn 1 is if you want to play it on turn 4. And because
I'm going to play it. Oh, sorry? No, I'm questioning you. Should I play in the center to keep my left lane open?
So
you can.
Panther gains. Doesn't Panther gain the benefit of Navadir when it gets destroyed?
No.
The copies.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, okay.
It's the location
And
that
Sebastian,
gives it. It's not when you play a card here it gets +5. It's while it's here.
And the Sebastian Shaw doesn't get seen as permanent, does it?
Same thing. No, not permanent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Is it worth playing? Oh, that's interesting. It's odd. True. I could just do Venom, Black Knight here.
I would do it on the left.
Well, Venom,
you know you're gonna.
Yeah, Venom likes Nidavellir, right? It does benefit from that, doesn't it?
It does, but it's only good if we have a reason. If we're gonna play more cards behind it, because otherwise we're just basically giving him Shang-Chi.
But I mean, you do have a
And we should have buffed Black Knight, because when Ant-Man is going to be fully activated, it's going to be a Shang-Chi target, when Black Knight isn't, as it was a 9. Why do we have so many Ant-Man, by the way?
Oh, just a
The hub.
random card, right?
Yeah, I know,
The
it's
hub?
just, we're really good at creating Ant-Man.
All right, so we could Sebastian Shaw. I'm sorry. Where do we want to play this?
Well, if you still want to go Wong, Panther, and maybe Zola, you have to leave the right open.
So center maybe.
You can absorb man the Venom.
Yeah, but why?
Oh, that's fine. Yeah.
Because
Why are you so concerned about that Venom?
well, or observing that brute. Lots of options.
Does it seem good?
Yeah, I feel like it would be much better to just Wong into Black Panther, into Absorbing Man Black Panther.
Oh, that's probably a good idea too.
So now we have an
Okay.
idea of what they play.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So how do we stop this combo from going off?
Oh, we don't. We just beat it.
Okay. So I'm just thinking of how many points Onslaught and Living Tribunal would cause on Nidavellir. All right. Still
Do you want to
thinking
do
Black
it now?
Panther.
What do you want to do, Bishop?
I was just curious, would you do it now, or are you setting up for Shang-Chi here?
Watching.
Because you have 7 turns. The opponents, possibly Shang-Chi?
No, they're a combo deck. They don't play. At least they shouldn't.
Gotcha.
No, the thing here is we play Panther. Next turn we play Absorbing Man, but we have an extra turn for Zola, and hopefully we copy both Black Panther and Zola for a gazillion point.
Okay.
All right. So now we're at the pivot.
Now we have to decide, because we could go...
Yes. Exactly.
Absorbing.
Well, you could serve for Absorbing behind Wong next turn.
Right, and you also have Venom, which is a 3-drop,
Yes.
right? So that you can carry,
Yes.
you can gain the benefits.
I might
So-
Venom on the left and say Fantastic in the middle. But that's not going to
No.
be worth a lot of points. We need a lot of
Venom on
points.
the left and Brood on the left.
Yeah.
Because you clear and refill.
Oh, because it's going to open. Yes, perfect.
But, I guess, okay. I see the benefit. Okay.
Plus, you get the bonus from Ant-Man.
Yeah. Permanently, yeah.
Oh. Okay. All right. So at this point, Surfer and Absorbing Man on the right, I think.
And so Shaw gets buffed 4 times. It's plus
It's
16.
gonna be huge.
That's okay.
Wow. Yeah, the left is gonna be one like
And we have
Jeez.
priority, so
it's like 85 points on the left, probably something like that.
and
On
even
the
if they
left,
Shang on the
you
left,
get-
like we're fine on the right.
On the left, you get 4 times plus 8, so you get plus 32. So yeah, 79.
I think we're pretty good.
You're
Yeah, that's-
probably gonna lose left, but you're winning the other 2, or they're gonna not play left because they think you can't match it, and you'll win another one.
I almost want to boomer snap them just to see what they do.
Your
I want to see
cubes,
this play out. Yeah, I'm afraid if you snap, they're gonna run.
Bishop just wanna see the fireworks.
Okay, fair.
Gonna be so long. It's gonna be a battle in the middle, I think. But... Well, it depends, because they need to play something pretty big in the middle for them to win it. So
Well,
maybe
or
they're
they
not
just
gonna
have to
play
do something
bigger?
that kills lanes, honestly.
No, they're just gonna spread
Like
their
if-
power.
That's less power than you have in 2 lanes.
Ah,
Barely.
They won.
So, how did we beat this? Could we beat? We need to put all the points in this. We didn't recognize it at the time, but we should have had like Shaw and Panther together.
So if you had put Venom left, and then if you had done the brood into the center, that would have done it, right? Because you would have had 34 on Venom, and another 30 in the center lane.
let's see if we had.
No, you wouldn't have 30 in the
the
center
Venom
lane.
minus.
You would have
Yeah,
20 in the center.
I'm sorry, not
we. Yeah.
yeah.
What,
We still would have won the left on Venom alone. By the way, by a single point.
You would have had 36 in the limbo lane, right? Total, the two broodlings.
No,
Even
you
if
would
they're
have
like
you would have 41.
okay, but still enough to go over the limbo is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
at the time we made the play, who knew
know.
they would have 33 on the left?
I understand. Because it was 60, right? Yeah.
That's the thing, is like we optimized thinking that if they took the left, they wouldn't be able to take the middle. But Slaving Tribunal without Onslaught was good enough. Plus, no, they play Magneto. So if we played Brood in the middle, he would have still been on the left. And it might have been even worse because they would have pulled Wong as well.
Oh, that's true. That's true. That's true. Yes, yes, yes. We forgot that what Brood did. Yeah.
Brood stopped Magneto. If Magneto goes off, we have no idea what the board state is. But we still have 4 cards on the left.
So I guess you couldn't have won this anyway then.
Well.
Now we needed to draw Arnim Zola. Well, actually, maybe there was a way to win it, which was, instead of doing the Venom Brood turn, we had to play Absorbing Man to copy Panther, which would have given us more points on the right. And then turn 7, we would have just Brood and Surfer on the right. So Brood left, we would have had 7 plus 12. So 21 plus 12, 33. So we would have tied. But I think we probably would have won the tie because our right would have been absolutely huge.
And
Absorbing Man would
Shaw
have been a 16.
Shaw would have been smaller since we didn't
Ooh,
Absorbing
true.
Man the Surfer in that case. And we still need to beat a 33.
Yeah, no, maybe there just wasn't a way to win it.
Yeah, we needed Storm. We need to check out the limbo.
Yeah, we need to draw Zola. Because if we draw Zola, I can tell you we win it.
Honestly, even Okoye would have.
Well, Okoye on turn 2, because if you draw Okoye on turn 6, it's not that good.
Yeah, fair.
And you're welcome, Silverman, for not boomer snapping that.
Hey, no. Hey, you can lose in hindsight, but sometimes it's still worth being aggressive.
Yeah.
Central Park. Central Park, why do you do me like this? All right. No?
Thinking about it. Maybe we hold it. Because that's going to force you to pass turn 2. Because you really want it on Shaw. And because we have Wong, like, we can still try Wong, Panther, Zola, but that still means we want space. I think I would hold it, see what I draw.
Fair.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay, play it middle.
Yeah. Fair.
I'm not really sure. What happens if we play one of the 2, like, loved ones, and one is transformed? Does the other one still get the bonus?
Well, it's interesting because it's not an ongoing, so maybe, but it's also not on the board anymore. But we could just play a Nakia. Yeah, in the center.
You lose 1 power on Sebastian Shaw, but you gain in the Hulk.
Okay, I gotta drop off. I got stuff to do before 1 o'clock. So, but it was fun. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thanks for stepping by. I mean, it's probably gonna be the last game anyway, so.
Yeah.
It's just
All
we
right.
never
I'll talk
finish
to you
on
guys later.
defeat. Try to end on a high note.
That's right. Oh, okay.
Good.
Cool. Yeah, that's fine.
Ooh, stuff's gonna happen.
Oh,
Stuff
oh,
is
yeah.
gonna happen.
All right. So Wong left, I feel like. Yeah.
Okay. So you know precisely what you need to beat metal. That's good.
Yep. Very handy that.
And we know we beat it if we just get Mr. Fantastic there and double Surfer trigger.
Mhm.
Oh.
Okay.
Man, that's stupid.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Aww.
Yeah. They knew our hand. All right.
They knew we drew Zola. Well, actually, Zola Hulk wasn't so bad.
Nope. And even just the points from Invisible Woman, fantastic combo. Like, yep.
Yeah, I think the play here. What was the play? The play was what? Fantastic in the middle, Invisible right? Or no, Invisible left. So you're sure your Surfer reveals last? And
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
hope you
Yeah.
draw Brood next turn?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah.
Alright. Well, I think this deck is good when you have to go against other points deck. Because
Mhm.
we really have a high potential. And we never had like really the nuts where we go like Okoye into Nakia into like Forge Shaw or like into Wong, into Panther, into Zola, stuff like that. But yeah, it's a little weaker once people play Disruption. But
Mhm.
there hasn't been that much because the Valentine's event isn't pushing for that. Well, there's Rogue, but we haven't seen that.
Yeah, and honestly, I think all the games we had really interesting locations that tilted it.
Yes.
Yeah. Boy, I've routinely missed Shang in this deck. I'll say that much.
Well, you could play it.
What would
But
we
then
drop
you
for this?
you would remove one of the two couples.
Yeah. Yep.
Like probably like you would remove Invisible Woman and Fantastic. You get like Zabu Shang because you have 3/4.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Are there any other power couples that are 3? Like, so there's
Or you get Gambit and
Captain
Rogue.
America. Yeah, that's true.
I can put it on the screen.
Captain
So
America.
Gambit
Yeah.
and Rogue are both, and they get the
Mhm.
+2, so they're naturally interesting.
Mhm.
America and Agent. The problem is Agent doesn't really fit the deck. Well,
You know,
Angela and
there's.
Sarah. I mean, Sarah is a Surfer card, has been in the past,
Mhm. Mhm.
and
That could be interesting.
so Surfer really can play with a lot of power couples. The problem
Mhm.
is none of the couples are like core to the deck in a way. Like they all make sense, but none of them are really like, oh, that's the way I wanted to play Surfer in the first place. It's all like, oh, I can play it.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Do you have it on the screen? You said.
Yeah, but I stopped sharing to yours.
Ah, fair.
Oh
Let
no,
me
it's still
stop my-
sharing. My bad. Still sharing. Okay. There you go.
Interesting how they. Yeah, the 3s really didn't get favorited very much. I don't know. I could see a world where Captain America, maybe Agent 13 gives you a 3, and even if it doesn't, it's not that terrible. Like I can't think of any of these games that we played so far, at least, where Invisible Woman and Mr. Fantastic just on point contributed that much to the synergy.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, Invisible Woman, the trick is you can Invisible Woman into Wong, into Black Panther, into Zola, and they don't see anything about it, and they never expect it because the rest of the deck is a Surfer deck.
That's right.
So it's just that. it's really like a way to sneak the combo in from people that like wouldn't expect you to play those cards. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's a gimmick because it's decent. But yeah, it didn't make Surfer like a tier 1 deck.
Yeah. And honestly, you know, once they lie with you, they may not even know the cool combo you had there. So yeah, so maybe in a way they lost out on the opportunity to see it while winning. All right. Well, this was fun. I really like the theory deep dive, and I really hope they do more temporary boosts like this week. This is just a neat idea.
Definitely, I hope they do more of those.
Mm-hmm.
All right, on this note, I'm gonna say goodbye to YouTube. Thanks for sticking around and watching the whole video. As usual, if you have questions, feel free to drop them below the video. You can find us on Discord if you want to join these sessions. They are free as long as you are a premium member of Marvel Snap Zone, which is very much cheaper than paying for coaching. But if you want private coaching, I'm also available for that. Bye bye, everyone.